Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody.
What's up, guys?
Welcome to the 128th Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. I'm Milan Starcic with co-host Scotty N, Bryant W, and my main man, And. That's right. Today's topic is compromising. Could you share what this means to you, Bryant, and why you're happy to discuss this topic here today?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys. Scott and Andrew, it's been a minute. Hope you're both doing well.
I love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. It's a tricky one. I was thinking a bit about this. What came to mind originally as kind of like a meaty piece of it is that due to one of the main attributes of my unhealthy sense of self was that I had a really low self-esteem, but I was unaware of how it was functioning in my life. I don't like to say I had a low opinion of myself, but based on some of the ways I was going about things, it became clear I must have had that. Or I perceived that my value was just not in alignment with what I think you would call a healthy life. So why I mention that is because what came with that was that I basically compromised constantly. I compromised in employment. I compromised in relationships. I allowed unhealthy people to have places in my life and position themselves in my life where I my main thing was connection. And I thought that if I didn't compromise, that love would be taken away from me, because I came from a family where if you didn't meet people where they were at, they removed love from you. So I basically, in this world where, you only meet so many people and have so many people that are close with you. And unfortunately, the game we played was that if you didn't do what I wanted you to do, we would remove love. And so I spent a lot of time trying to find love, and I compromised a lot in order to fit into places and try to find that connection. So that was one of the main things that came through. And I'm just so grateful that through, the process of getting well and healthy and finding out what our true value is, that I no longer feel the need to do that as much. And I now see compromise as a very healthy thing rather than something that actually brings less connection and lower value to your life.
Love that. And now, Scotty, would you like to say what it means to you and why you're happy to come and share here today? P.S. I love you three.
Love you too, Milan. So what I thought of it, I thought about the way I used to approach discussions or debates in growing up in high school and in university versus how I am now in recovery. And that's to be able to approach situations in good faith, right? To be willing to have a certain amount of malleability in my stance, right? That's what came to my mind. And I'm happy to talk about it today because I'm happy to talk about anything on this podcast.
Nice.
I just love being here. So thanks for having me.
I love that. And my main man, And, you've got what compromising means to you and why you're happy to discuss that here today.
I do. It's good to see you boys, man. Love you guys very, very much. Obviously in recovery, for me, it's like that middle ground. It's that middle ground in whatever that situation is. And when I think about it, depending on context, that can be like a good or a bad thing. There can be good or bad outcomes with that compromise. But a healthy compromise is finding solutions that respect my boundaries, other people's boundaries, and promote well-being. I want to be constantly moving in that healthy new way of living. So it's about respecting those personal boundaries. And unhealthy, then you got unhealthy compromise too, right? That like there's an unhealthy compromise, um, sacrificing your principles in order to compromise, not living by those spiritual principles. I have I think you say this, Milan, like if it's not aligned with the spiritual principles, like what are we doing? Like, why are you doing it?
Mm.
Because first off, the spiritual principles can never be in conflict with each other, and you're not really it's hard to spin one of those spiritual principles in a negative way, right?
Yeah.
If you're coming from the heart with one of those things. So, it helps us to maintain healthy boundaries, you know, um, finding solutions that don't require sacrificing those goals that we're ultimately looking for in recovery now that we're clean and off drugs. So, it's about conflict resolution, respect and support, right? It helps me maintain relationships with you guys. Right.
Yeah.
If I'm somebody who's not compromising in any way, like if I'm just not somebody who does, like you're more apt to like not hang out with me or be on this podcast with me or invite me on this podcast, right? Like, gotta be compromising, you can't just be that rigid dick walking around like not giving into what the world has going on. So that's what I kind of think about it. Obviously there's unhealthy ones, and we'll get into that with the questions too. But it's about navigating all that, the good ones, the bad ones, and staying true once you make that decision on whatever it is. So
Nice.
love you guys, man. Good to see you.
Woo! I just love this. It was so much fun the last time the four of us were together. I was actually excited when Andrew contacted yesterday and said he had a day off. So, okay, the spiritual principle of compromising isn't about sacrificing our integrity or giving in out of fear. It's about learning how to live peacefully and respectfully with others. Compromise is grounded in humility, patience, and empathy, and it often arises in our relationships as we grow in emotional maturity. As we become less rigid and more spiritually aware, we see that freedom doesn't mean always getting our way. Both Living Clean and their 12 steps and 12 traditions speak of compromise as a necessary part of the fellowship, a space where spiritual growth often requires letting go of ego in service of unity, love, and balance. And, I really like that end where it's, that definition there says unity, love, and balance. For me, compromising really is kind of both people working to that unity of satisfaction, and it's like the difference between me, like feeling pushed out of an interaction with a human or feeling part of the interaction. When both people are compromising, it's like positive attracting positive. And when one person is unyielding, myself included, I can feel that negative repulsion occurring, in the energy for myself. And, and then there also is the side that, I'm not compromising my program for somebody else's picture of who I used to be. Like
Mm.
I am absolutely uncompromising on whether I'm putting myself in dangerous situations these days or just, what I want in my life, like if somebody's still using, that just means that we're probably not hanging out. I'm not going to be
Mhm.
sitting and watching somebody use, and I'm not compromising on that. Like I'm not compromising my own life right now for somebody else's state of mind, and so for to me it's funny because my life right now is filled with extreme compromise in my, at least in my intentions, like I'm at least trying my very best to be as compromising as possible, and seeing, like now through the tools of the program, and also like step 10 and everything like that, I'm seeing where I'm not compromising, and I'm at least like aware of what I'm like how I'm misdirecting my life by my lack of compromising when it's occurring. And so, I respect you guys, all three of you, so much for your ideas, your minds, and your hearts, and I just look forward to seeing what these questions today unveil about our thoughts on this subject. I'm super grateful. I would like to say this. Today we are at the half point of the year. Thank you guys for being
Wow.
thank you for being part of the first 6 months of my life in 2025, because I
Oh,
have had nothing but more joy, love, growth, support, being part of this brotherhood right here. It's meant a lot to me. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
you man.
Thank you.
Brian, you're the first one asking a question to Scotty, going around the same way.
Gosh. Scotty, Ardone. Ooh. When did you realize
Ooh.
so when did you realize that you had
Oh,
forgotten, like either forgotten or learned what a healthy relationship was or is? Like, do you recall when you realized, like, wow, like I haven't had a healthy relationship in a while, and or do you remember when you started to become aware and motivated as to like what you could do to kind of make relationships healthier?
hmm. So this is an interesting question. I think that like the first person that comes to mind is my first sponsor coming into Narcotics Anonymous, and how um we developed a friendship pretty quick. Like there's it's friendship with a sponsor is kind of 50-50 a lot of the time, because
Mm,
you right, because there's some dynamics of sponsorship that are not compromised.
yeah, that's true.
But I think that, and the reason I say this was like because I my dad wasn't around, like, well, he was around but he was drunk, and then he wasn't around and then he was still drunk. So I'm gonna use this example instead of action. So because it's something that I've learned in hindsight that I didn't really wasn't fully aware of at the time. So in reflecting on my parents' relationship growing up,
Yeah.
um, I don't recall ever seeing my mom and my dad do anything romantic with each other,
Huh.
right? And when I was young, they divorced when I was young. It was an ugly divorce. I mean, no divorces are really pretty, but this one was pretty ugly.
Mm,
And I never like experienced growing up affection between my parents.
yeah.
And then when it came to a few years on, when I was in the middle of high school, my mom started seeing a guy, and he came into my life, and he showed me a lot more of what a dad, how a dad acts properly, even though I wasn't biologically his. But he moved in, family moved in, and I got to experience a healthier family dynamic for the first time in my life. And that was, I didn't realize how impactful that was until I got a little bit older and started doing step work and looking back.
Yeah.
Especially since I got in my first serious relationship and realizing that I don't have much of a guidepost for how to act or what to do in the relationship.
Wow.
So I think that answers your question.
It definitely does. That was awesome. And thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Scotty.
And from this point forward, please refer to me by my name as Scooter Von Scooter.
All
Please
Out,
and
right.
thank you. Please and
out,
thank you.
out.
I, I've always loved Scooter Von Scooterson.
Well,
Pretty heavy. Yeah.
oh my
Or do
God.
you ever go by Von Scooterson in
I
business
will.
settings?
I will not. Yeah, that's on my business. That's on my business card because I have to keep it professional. Mm.
I love
Oh
you
my
guys.
God.
Okay.
I'll take that question there, P Dub. P Dub.
I'm
Molenda.
gonna racket it over here. Okay. When did you realize that you had forgotten and or came into the awareness that you were learning what a healthy relationship is or was?
All right, that's a great question. Well, I thought I knew everything when I was loaded, you know. I still kind of think I know everything, but as I come to terms with things, you know, and I realize that I don't, right? Like the more clean time I get, and the more I know, the more I realize I don't know.
Oh boy.
You know, like, and we've talked about it before on an earlier podcast. Like, the more things I open up in terms of knowledge and things that I learn, like, the more that I have to learn off of that, right? So it's like, the more that I know, the more that I don't know. And so when I came in here, everything was completely clouded in terms of what I thought a healthy relationship was. You know, but today, you know, I'm living by spiritual principles. So if it's not aligned with those spiritual principles and how I'm living, like I don't really have time for it in my life, you know, in terms of like another relationship or having time for somebody else. You know, I've got sponsees, I got a sponsor, I've got a lot of service commitments. I do this podcast. Like, I got a lot of shit going on.
Yep.
But relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship, which that's something that, I mean, I'm engaged, and I mean, I'm doing obviously something right, you know. But a healthy relationship, whether it's just friends or whatever it is, it's about feeling safe. It's not about suffocating somebody. You know, you
Yeah.
can't and it's not about control either, you know. There's like an encouragement of growth. It's not like guilting each other into things, right? I remember doing that a lot, where I would guilt people into and I was a savage with that part, man. I would just really, really know exactly what to say to make you feel like an asshole, to where like you're just gonna give me whatever it is that I need. Like, I was a savage, man, and it's, you know, fuck, I'm so glad I got this step work, right? Because I would always feel like I'm an asshole, and I feel like this really, really dark, bad dude, and doing a little work on myself, I'm able to realize that, like, that wasn't me. You know what I mean? That wasn't the true me. And now that I've learned the true me, like, I can make up for that shit, you know.
Nice.
But a true healthy relationship is about coming and meeting in the middle, the compromise part, right? Like, I think that's the root of your question. It's rooted in mutual effort, not manipulation. Like, it's not about manipulating each other.
Yeah.
It's about, you know, there's a mutual understanding that both of us want to get to where we want to get, whether it's romantically or just staying clean today, you know, or a sponsor-sponsee relationship. And we can disagree without being disrespectful. That's what I
true.
wanted to say. You know, we can disagree without going all the way and burning the house down.
Definitely.
You know, because I blame torch that ass. I blow the whole shit down, just because I wanted to stand on my pride or my ego or get drugs or whatever it was. But it was just unhealthy, you know.
Yep.
And so I'll keep it on me. Like, when I came in here and I started building healthy relationships, it was uncomfortable at first, but I mean, I had nothing else to lean into. I mean, I was signed up. I was all in. If it
Yeah.
was a cult, whatever it is, I was signed into this thing. So I was just taking those suggestions. But you got to meet somebody halfway. You know, and it's about allowing space. And here's what,
Yeah.
in romantic relationships, especially, that when you asked that question, it first came up in my head. It's about allowing space if there's like a disagreement, without threatening abandoning that ship, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Because that's a little bit evil right there. When you like threaten abandonment, knowing that you're not going to leave, like, that's kind of fucked up when you do that.
That's
And
right.
I found myself doing that a lot. Especially, you know, an active addiction for sure. But now I don't even, my brain doesn't even go there now. I don't use, that's not a chemical weapon in my head anymore. Right. Like, I don't have that in my wheelhouse to do to anybody anymore, because I'm aligned with myself and my true self. And I got a God in my life, man. God's got me. He's always watching me. So I can't go back to that old way of life. Like, I get zapped down. I don't want that. I love you guys,
Yeah.
man. It's a great question.
Yeah, and I
You
like
know?
that you said the root of it, because it ultimately is that whole, like, what is a realistic expectation of another person, and depending on what the dynamic of that relationship is, like, when we're living from that empty void, it's almost guaranteed that we're going to project some of that onto the person, right?
They'll never live up to that expectation. And then you're
Yeah.
just resentment, just hating on shit until you got money for me, whatever it is, man. We're just
Yeah.
crazy. I would.
I almost feel like if they do live up to it, it still causes trouble.
Yeah, it's like we can go more now. Look, we got that business. We can go more now. What else you got?
Yeah,
So
That was easy. How about
yeah,
a bit
that was
more?
easy.
Oh man,
Beautiful.
That long.
some great answers so far. Scooter von Scooterson and my main man and. You want to repeat the question for me, PW Willenda?
Mangulis, when did
Don
you?
Mangulis.
Don't be correcting me. I'm not compromising. When did you realize or notice that you had forgotten what a healthy relationship was, and or when you began to see sort of like what a healthy relationship could be?
So I never had healthy relationships. I don't think until starting to do step work.
Yeah.
I don't think I had the tools to see how unhealthy I was keeping them. You know, and so when I heard you ask von Scooterson this question to begin with, two things came up. So I'm going to address one and then the other right after. But you know, the very first thing was you know, during my step 4, where you know, like everybody really close to me, I had some major hinging resentment happening with. Like, and when I finally boiled it all down, all of them were based on intolerance and lack of acceptance.
Yeah.
You know, like they might have been making me angry, like my defect that came out. But what was it coming from? It was coming from me not accepting you for who you are. You know, like I wanted you delivered in the me format. And
No doubt.
the me format wasn't even something that I could have lived up to, you
No
know.
doubt.
But I would expect that you're better than me, you know. Like, you know, rise above, Bryant, because I can't, and so that really has been something that's kind of like echoed through my brain as I process more and more things inside recovery. You know, like it really was through the process of this podcast, there was a point that I really saw the far reaching damages of intolerance of other people, and especially with younger people. You know, like, and I've said it on this show before, but I'm going to say it again. Like, when you constantly treat someone with intolerance, you're basically telling them that who they are is wrong all the time. And to somebody young and formative, that can be very damaging to how they have their own sense of self-esteem. You know, like you could be the one person who needs to be their parachute and their strength. And just by acting with intolerance, you've now just deflated their chance of survival for that parachute, you
Well
know?
said.
And so that to me was a big part of it. But then another thing for me that happened was, even with that awareness coming into sobriety and my program, there was a few unhealthy relationships that I was maintaining. Like I was for the reason of like longevity or duration or whatever the heck kind of like tether I had on myself to remain in that relationship for the first while in my sobriety. It was like part of me felt like, oh, now I've got these tools. I need to succeed in every relationship I have because I can figure this out and work on this and that. And what I realized was, no, there's just some things that just aren't healthy. And we are never going to be changing other people. You know, like that's one of the main things. We don't change people, places, or things. And it's just like, how long do you maintain toxicity for the sake of sentimentalism, you know?
Yeah.
And there was just like a couple friends that I just had to snip free. Like where it was a really uncomfortable event. But it was like I was either compromising my own integrity by remaining in those relationships, or I was going to be true to myself and free of that relationship.
Mm.
And because I had tried a couple times to discuss things, and it just was not met with any reception. Like there was no compromise to actually evolve together. And you know, like I wasn't expecting them to, but I attempted to see if they wanted to salvage our relationship. You know,
Yeah.
like I think you got to give people a chance. You don't have to go with expectations, but you do. I think it's okay to say, hey, you know, like I would like to talk about this, you know, and I think communication is essential, or change never occurs.
No doubt.
Like you don't need to have expectations to go into it. So I think that's my answer there, and I hope it kind of answered your question. But I certainly
Big time.
love all
Beautiful.
three of you, PW,
That's
Scooter,
exactly
and
what I
me.
was hoping to hear. The other, I think what I also hear from everyone is that like having had pretty poor examples, um, you know, we needed the feedback in order to even rearrange our approach to it. Like I had to recognize fundamentally how I felt about myself and how much that was actually interacting with how I was interacting with you. Like is it seems self-centered, but like the health of your own perception of you will basically determine how that goes. You know what I mean? And I had to do some major renovations within myself about how I felt about myself. And that's when I began to understand what a healthy relationship could be, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
is for Scooterson.
So you that was your answer to your own question?
Oh, I haven't answered my question.
Yeah.
I would guess I began to.
Come on, Pete up,
Yeah.
Belinda Pants. Get with it.
I forgot about that part. Yeah, so okay, so I'll keep going on that. So yeah, so I had
Don't cut us
parents.
short. Come on, man.
I forgot parents that were very unwell. I hope nobody. Well, my sister listens to these, but whatever.
She's playing it for mom tomorrow.
Yeah, I think she is actually. And
What's up,
then
Mom?
I had one sister that like literally would remove any form of love if you even attempted to like set a boundary and or like tell her she was whatever. Friends, ups and downs, jealousy, all kinds of different things. You know, like competitiveness, employment, you know, work you to the bone, labor laws, non-applicable, you know, like all kinds of things where like I had to literally get to the age of 30 where I did 12 steps to realize like, holy shit, like a lot of these relationships weren't healthy and like I had been compromising. I didn't even know I had the right to say something in a lot of these situations, but I was also a dusty bag of spuds. Like I was so dusty. Like by the time I came to these awarenesses, I had basically been, you know, a hungover, insecure, egoic. I don't even know what I would call my.
You walked into that one.
And so basically, like, I didn't really know how to be a healthy me because a lot of the dynamics that I was involved in were like, get out of here.
I can see the answers are second class. It's really about the nicknames. This isn't even about the answers. This is all about nicknames. I can tell.
Keep going.
I'm sorry. Keep going. Dusty Spud Bad Johnson. We got you.
PW. That's the funny thing is that anyhow. Okay, let me just try to wrap it up. I had never been in a relationship that was based in what we would call like healthy God-given instincts, whether that was parental, sibling, employment, and some friends. I mean, I'm really lucky. I have some friends that have transcended sobriety or like before and after. I'm really, really grateful to all the friends I've made. I just put way less expectation and yeah, like you, several of us, I think in our own way kind of added that coming from the void, somebody can become an unhealthy part of your life without you even trying. Like, oh, like you, it goes on and on. I even felt a bit of neediness in other people now, that whereas before I would have like been like, ooh, they really care about me, or like, oh, they really want me to be there or something. And now I like very repelled by neediness. And it's probably because I'm like in a healthier place myself. Again, we don't want to like start like macheting away like everything that people do. Like we have to grant other people the opportunity to like grow and learn,
You're
and
not desperate for it anymore. You're not like,
that's right.
you're not
Yeah.
so you're not like void of it for so long that like as soon as it hits your shit, you're like, I gotta have like that hope, like
Yeah.
somebody needs me. It's like you can pick and choose, and you can really fall into it
Yeah.
as you need healthy.
And it's actually very strange. Sometimes I'm like, where is everybody? And then other times I'm like, oh yeah, like what, like things have changed. And then
Mm.
I don't know, it's very interesting. It's like trying to find that nice balance between understanding what like your connection and dedication to others is in a healthy way, and having the right size sort of wanting of feedback and or acceptance from these dynamics. I don't know, I think we live in a world where people are sort of like, if they're willing to pay for it, like they're willing to pay for it. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you paid like $2 for that and you're charging like $300. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to lean into um the deficiencies that we all have in order to gain things for myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm trying to learn what like an appropriate amount of taking advantage looks like, especially in like business and things. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And,
That's
you know,
tough, Spuds. It's tough, Spud.
I'm getting
Sure.
there.
It's tough. That's a great point,
Okay.
though.
Mr. Von Scooterson, would you like to ask the main man and a question?
Well, I just want to touch on what was just said about no, I lost it. Wait, 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 wait.
He set that one up. That was pre-planned.
That was beautiful.
Just kidding.
It was like, here comes the pearliest wisdom.
No,
Yeah,
it's not there.
honestly,
It's
I
not
was
there.
actually
It's
really
gone.
excited for a second there.
Like, bro, I got
I had the
pages to
pen
say.
down.
It's
I
gone.
was ready to take
It's
notes.
gone. He's about to drop the mic, and he's like, "Oh, poof."
That was amazing.
Wow, that's so funny.
You guys are fucking amazing.
Oh,
So here's one. It's, so coming into recovery, right, and getting a sponsor. How did you determine what was a healthy compromise and what was an unhealthy compromise? Like, how did you go from like, uh, I'm not doing these things, to getting the direction to be told to do things that you would normally not do?
nice. Wow.
Good
That's a great
one.
question. In terms of my sponsor, I had a radical acceptance when it came to my sponsor, man. You know, I pretty much did everything that man said. When I got my new, my sponsor that I've had for about 2 years now. He's 35 years clean, and they fly him around the world to speak at conventions, and that's not what it's all about. I just know that man lives with with the utmost respect and humility. I mean, he's humility in walking form. So I do everything that man says, man. Like if he asks me, and he don't ask me to do a lot, and he knows me so well, like he'll just tap in when he needs to. Like he'll see me in a meeting, or maybe I'm not on camera. Just the little things he'll notice about me, and he'll know if I'm doing all right, or if he needs to get me to kind of, get a little more active in my program or whatever. If I'm getting complacent, what does he say? Complacent ass in the seat. That's what he says.
Yeah.
And we work step work. Maybe we do step work every week. And it really keeps him and I tapped into each other, man. And I never really thought anything he was throwing at me was unhealthy at all. And I really did everything. And that's, I think, what your question is like in terms of a sponsor asking you to do stuff and stuff like that. I did everything that man asked. I had a radical acceptance, and it's helped me out, man. It's helped me out tenfold. There are some times when I didn't understand why he was asking me to do what he was asking me to do, but I just, bro, I mean, what am I going to go back to the old way of thinking? Like not do what that man says? Like, if I want to stay clean the rest of my life, bro, I need to do what that man says. You know what I mean? He's approaching whatever he's asking me to do with unconditional love. Like, I know that for a fact. And it's hard to deny that, man. When somebody really loves you, you know what I mean, unconditionally, and they're coming at you with something like if you're acting some kind of way and somebody comes at you like, hey man, you should check yourself. If it's somebody that I don't really respect or really care about or really know, I'm not going to put too much stock in that. But if it's somebody I love, like my sponsor, my family, like one of you guys, like if you come at me like, bro, like why are you acting like that? So like what's going on? I really have to make a conscious effort to step back, pause and be flexible in that situation and look at myself, because y'all, people that love me aren't going to come at me out of no for no reason. I'm doing something that they're seeing in me that's not normal. And so it's about staying consistent and just, if I'm gonna do everything that man says, like I'm gonna stay with that. I'm not gonna like do that for 6 months and then I'm not gonna talk to him for a couple of months. You know what I mean? Like I'm just gonna stay with that. But it's letting go in order to stay connected. Like I gotta let go of what I think is right in this situation in order to stay connected. And that's not only with my sponsor. That means like people in this program. There's a lot of people, business meetings. I know y'all been to some business meetings where you're like, what the hell's going on here? But most of the time, whatever that vote is that works out, where you're just like, man, I can't believe that long term with traditions and things that usually work out. It usually works out the way it should.
Yeah.
But and that's what I found. But yeah, another thing he's taught me is to listen. I know how to listen today. I listen before I talk. And sometimes when I have a whole lot to say, I've said this before on here, I need to learn when to shut the fuck up. Even when I have that, like, so much to say, because that's where I learn everything. That's where I can learn a lot, is when there's all this shit going on and I want to put my 2 cents into it. And I have so much to say about how I think I'm better than that situation. And if I can right then just pause and shut the fuck up and listen, I can learn so much. I've learned so much in that little spot right there, man.
Oh yeah.
And I've been able to tap into that, and that's a beautiful thing too, man. Because then I can respond. I can respond instead of react. It's about responding instead of reacting. If we react, like shit, we're apt to being, just we're not going to be living in those spiritual principles that we're trying to do if we just react instead of responding. You want to respond. It's about pausing. How's this going to affect me and my family going forward before I do what I'm about to do? So,
Well said.
I'll pass that. Great question.
2 cents.
2 cents, Jones.
Could I get the question again, please? Scooter Sinterson.
Okay, so my question was based around compromise and sponsorship, and if there are things that you wouldn't compromise, or how that plays out as you develop your recovery.
So, okay, I feel like having gone to treatment, the very beginning of my recovery journey, I did whatever they said in treatment. I really didn't fight them on anything. If they gave us a task, an exercise, whatever, I embraced it and just did it. It took me a few weeks when I got out to connect with my first sponsor, and he has a lot of great wisdom and a lot of great faith. And Spud's Bag has heard him talk before at meetings, and
Dusty Spud Bag. Dusty Spud Bag. His words.
Yeah, it was his own words too. Like he literally called him something. But what happened is he only wanted to meet in a crowded Starbucks.
Yeah.
And like I have this problem where I can't shut off sound. So they got the music playing in Starbucks and 50 other people talking, and we're talking about really personal shit in a public place. And I requested, I was like, can we like maybe go to the library, sit at a park? Like, can we go somewhere quieter? Because I didn't live in the same town as him. And he wasn't willing to do that. And that was really like something that in the end was kind of one of the demises of our relationship, was that I couldn't function in a learning situation in that. And then the other thing that I failed to compromise on was he didn't want to hear my step 4 or step 5,
Don't
he
get
wanted
me
me to
started.
go and say it to a priest.
Y'all heard this?
And like I was like
Time to
super
run.
like Catholic, like like just was not into going to a priest. I was like, I'm not going to a priest. He's like, go to a priest, give him $20, talk to him, and I was
Bro,
like, no.
I can't.
And so
Wow.
like unfortunately, I'd
That's
love
so
to be
awesome.
on here. I'd love
Bro.
to be on here saying I did everything for my sponsor, but I didn't. I did not. But I would like to say that on my second sponsor, I haven't, there hasn't been a thing he's asked of me that I haven't done. So, one of the things I think that's important for people out there, at least from my own story, is that you're not married for life with your sponsor. And if there's some things that are just like making it so that you're not moving forward with your program, take a good look and see if it's just incompatibility of teaching methods, because that can be a real thing. Like you might need somebody that's going to convey things in a way that you're like excited and willing to work with. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying everything I did with my current sponsor was awesome and comfortable. I put myself in uncomfortable situations in order to grow. But there's just ones where I feel like it would have been me kind of being dishonest to continue in my first circumstance. Like I wasn't learning in that environment. I didn't feel safe talking about my private things in a Starbucks. Like I did not at all. Like it was like I'm not going up and like, hey, excuse me, everybody. By the way, I really fucked this person over a few years ago, and I need to make an amends. Like, oh, I could have a double chai with a foam, the soy foam.
The
Like,
library's for sissies, boys.
like
The library's for sissies.
so there was like really two entirely different experiences for me, and so don't meet in Starbucks. Anyway, Spud's bag could.
Can I say something, please? Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all just rock with me real quick. All three of y'all, or you two especially. Imagine if you work a thorough 4-step, right? 120 pages you work through with a sponsor, right? You pump to that 5th step and you're all excited, right? You get that 5th step done, and you're like meeting up with him, right? You go to meet up with him, and he's like, and you're like, all right, let's break this thing down. And he's like, bro, I don't want to hear about that shit. I don't want to hear about that shit. Hey, I don't want to sleep with that shit. Look, we got a priest. We got a couple priests.
I don't do
We're gonna walk in. We're gonna go walk in here and get you on the schedule because I know you do a lot of writing. I really don't need to hear that shit. I got a lot of going on today.
I don't do
I'm gonna leave.
5.
Look, Johnny and Wayne are back here. Look, they'll listen to that shit. I can't do it today. So, good luck. Hit me up on the next one. Are you kidding me?
He just walks into the Starbucks and there's just a priest sitting there.
And he clocks the time. He's like, bro, you're on the hour, bro. You better sit the fuck down.
Yeah.
I didn't got a lot of time here, man. I got to get back to the
$20.
church. And I need my
$20 and a chai latte.
And I mean my chai latte now.
And the
You know what,
biscotti.
though?
God's chai
It's good that
latte,
we can
actually.
Good that we can have a laugh.
Bro, I would run. I'd be like, bro, this is not gonna work out for me, man. I got to go.
I did.
That's crazy.
Okay,
I just wanted y'all to hear from my what the fuck. That's crazy.
Von Scooterson Tierson, could you ask Spud's bag, please?
Dusty Spudbag Johnson.
All right, so Mr. Bag.
My names are taking me in the gutter.
Mr. Big Bag.
Hit me up.
No longer a kid's meal, guys. He's no longer a kid's meal. We're in there.
No one's gonna take me seriously.
We all do. We take you so seriously.
Look,
not me. I never have.
y'all started this thing out early. Y'all started this thing out early, guys.
Hey, you run an honest program, Scooterson.
So I'll phrase it like this. How do you approach compromise within a sponsor-sponsor relationship?
Well, I had the same experience. I was meeting with my guy every Thursday and Sunday at a coffee shop for the first 7 or 8 months when we got through the steps, and I had to read the book out loud in a coffee shop in Toronto. So like I know exactly what you're talking about.
On the PA system,
And you
get a
liked
PA
it?
system out.
You liked it?
You know what it did? I started seeing how important it was to like get over myself.
Ooh.
Like he did it for a reason. He knew it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, take it in, like try to take that shit in. Yeah, like he did it for a reason.
And to be very honest, and I know you just said like I don't want to talk about my personal whatever in front of people, but like even now, the odd time I do stuff, where I'm like, I wonder what this person's gonna think if I do this, this, and that. It's like it shouldn't matter. Like that's a trap. That's like an unnecessary bondage that like I am very slowly working through, and so it worked for me. I'm not gonna lie. There was like a bunch of times where I went and asked other gentlemen. I'm like, is this normal? Like, is this actually how people do this? Because like at least a dozen times I was like, this is absolutely wild. Like I couldn't believe it. It felt aggressive. It felt like over the top. And I was like, is this how people do this? So I would like ask people if this was how they went about it. And like, I wasn't like going behind my sponsor's back and like, it wasn't some sort of like gossipy thing. I was genuinely wondering if this is how people
Is this
do
dude messing with me? Is this dude messing with me?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, this is absolutely wild. Like I went from doing whatever I wanted to like nothing.
There's no
And,
way
like,
this is real. He's messing with me. He got to be messing with me.
yeah. So
That's funny.
I wasn't perfect. I did wake up some mornings and not do my gratitude list and all that, but I did it most days and I did all the steps. I did it thoroughly and fearlessly. I to the best of my ability. Like I probably was fearful, but the only thing too is this guy met me in that defect where I was still trying to get his approval. So it worked. It worked because I was trying to get his approval. So I did what he asked me to do, but I also was deeply motivated to like get well and not live this life of misery any longer. And so all that stuff combined, I definitely compromised quite a lot from the old version of how I would have done things. Um, But yeah, I like to address. I've told the story a few times that like 3 months or something, I pushed back and I said like I don't like the way you speak to me, and I like told this guy like I don't like the way you speak to me, man, and he literally fired back. He's like, you need some more humility. Like he didn't not a second pass, and he was like, you need more humility, and like I don't know. It's like I don't know if the higher power spoke or a gate opened or a window closed or whatever, but like in that moment it's like at light speed, I realized that this guy had just spent like 40 hours of his life trying to help me get well. And I hadn't had a drink in 3 months. And I was like, who the fuck do I think I am pushing back at this dude? Like it was working. It was working. And I don't know, in that moment, I just melted. Like I still feel it when I talk about it. Like I let my guard down and I let this dude into my heart. And I like realized that like, oh my God, like this has been this thing that I'm feeling, all this tension was because I've been like pushing back, not trusting people and not believing people that were like guiding me in life because I thought they were all hypocritical fucking weirdos. And I just like finally let my guard down. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should just listen to what this guy has to tell me. And like, the next 6 months were like the best 6 months of my life, like because I finally gave up fighting, you know.
Surrendered.
And so,
Surrendered. I was like, oh,
yeah.
you beat me to it. You beat me to it.
Yeah, and I think there was like obviously a partial one to even get to that point, but that was when I actually let go, and
Let go. That's
it
it.
was pretty sweet. Like it was really cool, and like it definitely made me love that dude. Like he was just trying to help me. And everything he said is completely reasonable. And now when I work with another person, you can tell, you know, you can really, really feel when they're doing it their way. You know, I'm doing it my way. And like they could be the greatest at doing whatever their way, but not sobriety because they don't know how it works. And it's such an intricate and like The wisdom is always hidden behind what they're asking. Going to a meeting, picking up cigarettes, holding a door, shaking hands. Like these things are obvious things. Like you're doing something, you're doing service, you're helping, but there's something deeper behind it, and that's getting over yourself.
Yeah.
It
That's
is.
dope.
I think all of it is getting over yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have stayed in Starbucks.
Hard to say. Your name could be Spud's Bag.
Well, you know, I would think it'd be like Spud's Baguito, like a Spanish one.
Baguito. Yeah.
Papas bolsa.
Las papas fritas.
Okay, Von Scooterson, can you answer your own question?
Yeah. So
Person.
when I was first coming into recovery, I had that addiction gave me the willingness to do what my sponsor said, even though if I didn't really understand or want to.
Yeah.
I mean, really. So, but I was I think a bit naive at the time too, and I did a lot of things kind of like unquestioning, like not even worrying about the that. It kind of came back to bite me a little bit, and then when I came into Narcotics Anonymous, which is coming into recovery the second time, I had that same drive to get clean and willing to do what my sponsor was suggesting, but I wasn't doing it blind anymore. Right. So if I did have a problem, I would just talk to him. And I think for myself, I did do my step 5 with a clergyman. Actually, there's a Franciscan monastery in Edmonton that I did it at, which I needed to do. And I was like, I wrote my step 4 in code. Like I would have, when it came to certain questions, certain answers, you could read what I was writing, but if you didn't know my code, you wouldn't understand what I was actually talking about. So that's how I felt about my
That's crazy.
step
That's
4 and
awesome.
step 5.
Wild.
That's like wild as fuck. Like I'm sitting here going like, oh, what? Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Is there like a code breaker
was
next to
that
it?
for
Is there like a-
names? Was that for names or for things you did?
Both.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Do you have like
Oh,
your
it's
code
hard.
breaker thing?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have a code breaker like in the safe or
So
like?
it's all in here, man. It's all in
Whoa.
here.
So it's filled with Dusty, Walinda, Spudbag, Johnson loaf names all in there, like all kinds of names. Like I'm just kidding. That's awesome. That's really cool.
That is awesome.
That's a layered.
Is that because
Step 4,
in case somebody ever found it, or
Yes,
is it 'cause
yes,
you-
hell yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. If somebody found that shit, I'm not. Wasn't me,
Bro,
man.
That's
Wasn't-
genius. You should make an
wasn't
app, Scooter. You should make an app.
Step 4 codes?
Boom,
There you
boom.
go.
Never lose your step 4 again in the wrong hands.
Yeah. But yeah, so I did my step 5 with a Franciscan monk. But what that did is it opened the door and it gave me the ability to share with my sponsor afterwards the shit that I was going to take to the grave.
Oh wow.
Well, that's
Right.
cool.
So it was indirectly a really, really good thing to do for me. And opening that door gave me a lot of courage to seek recovery in different areas of my life that I wasn't willing to, or that I was confused about.
That's really cool. You almost made peace with God before you were able to do it on the human level with somebody else.
Yeah.
That's really dope. That's really dope. I like that.
Nice.
I like that.
And
Is it my question, right?
TC Jones, do you have a question for me?
I was like, who's he talking to?
That's you.
Yeah.
Come on, TC. Come on, TC.
I'm like, what
I
the
think
fuck?
TC's perfect. TC Jones? That's a
MC
new one.
Hammer, TC Jones. I got you, man. So look,
TC
how
Jones.
has compromise? Who am I asking? You, Milan?
Yeah.
How, Milan, has compromise helped you in building and maintaining healthy relationships and recovery?
Well, man, it's kind of like one of the foundations of having a true exchange of energy inside friendship, love, romance, you know? Uh, the fact is that coming in, I was absolutely set on that intolerance and self-centeredness, you know? And now I'm trying to break down those barriers and, you know, not just make today about me. And so that compromise is, you know, some days where I'm like sitting there and I'm like actively seeking to see what other people around me are needing. You know, like when I'm praying to give away my oil, part of that is to be looking for the guidance of, you know, what the moment needs around me. And so I find myself more often than ever in my life before actually looking and saying, okay, you know, what what did these, you know, what does my daughter need today from me? What does my wife needing today from me? What's my father-in-law needing today from me? Maybe what are my friends needing from me? You know, and then moving out of my immediate room or whatever, then it's like, what do I need to be doing as my sponsee roles? You know, like because what I'm finding for myself with my sponsees is that I'm just kind of trying to do another level of interaction more than just our weekly meetups, you know, and trying to put recovery thought into like part of their mornings with them, you know, and so you know we're doing like with a couple of them, you know, I'm doing like a spiritual principle a day and how we can bring that into our day or how that was part of our day before. And so it's just interesting to kind of have these conversations because it inevitably, like, I mean, that what you focus on becomes greater, right? And so if I'm looking at how I can best serve the needs of those around me, isn't that the essence of compromise?
Sure.
Yeah, I think I'm
Oh
done.
yeah, great answer. All right, are you ready? Who?
You're asking Spud's bag.
Spudbag Dusty coming to you, man. All right, so how do you compromise? How has compromise helped you in building and maintaining healthy relationships and recovery?
Thank you. It was really cool. Right at the very beginning, I think similar to, I might be making this up, but when people go on a serious effort to lose weight, I think like right off the bat, you lose like a pretty good amount and then it's a lot harder like after. I've heard sort of like that. I realized how many certain relationships in my life at that point in time had like kind of been like ego driven. Anytime I say that, I think people think of that like inflated sense of self. That was like the false identity. So the whatever story I was telling myself about who I was and how and why I could like weave these people into my life, I wasn't like super manipulative. I just like girls like convenient, whatever, like not healthy, not good for either of us. Nobody's actually about to like be very vulnerable and healthy and like try to have a long lasting healthy relationship. Those people fell off like I just like got rid of all that stuff. I realized that I had been like kind of serving an unhealthy sense of myself with that stuff. Um I made the amends. I kind of right sized my relationships with my family. I showed some humility and took accountability. For me, that was like a reset. It's like, okay, like I'm no longer going to be living out of this unhealthy sense of self. I'm no longer going to be behaving this way. And going forward, I hope that we can meet each other in a healthier place. I'm going to try my best. I hope to see you there. And some people have risen to the occasion, some people can't. Um, I've had to set some pretty solid boundaries in the last little while where I'm not compromising on that. I like refuse to crawl before people at this stage of the game. Like if somebody's been continuously or consistently like unpleasant to be around, I'm going to let them decide if they would like to increase the pleasantness. I'm not going to try to like provoke that through negotiation, even though I think negotiation is a really important thing, especially when it comes to relationship dynamics. But um, so yeah, like I guess the greatest gift was like living out of shame. Once I pulled myself out of shame, I found myself kind of standing on a bit of a more sturdy place where it's like, I'm not going to cut people as much slack. Like before, it was very easy for me to accept responsibility for things because I felt like everything was my fault because I felt like I was, out of alignment. And so if somebody could very easily be like, yeah, but you said that or you did that. And if you weren't there, this wouldn't have happened. I'd be like, they're right. And so I took responsibility for a lot of things. I like to continue to take responsibility if it's actually factual now, but I'm a little better at calling people's bluffs. Like I'm like, if I'm to hold my ground and you're going to remove love, I feel like that's on you, not me. And like I'm getting a lot better at like being able to stand my ground and call the bluff if like connection is being withdrawn due to somebody else's inadequacies. I'm not going to like stand for that anymore. You know what I mean? I watched this little video earlier today or yesterday, and I guess this girl kind of like subtly ratted on her roommate that was cheating on her boyfriend. And she sort of said, like, for all you out there that think that I should have minded my own business, she's like, if all of us just stood back and let everybody act like shit all the time and nobody said anything or like interjected, we would live in a lot less pleasant world. And like, you got to pick and choose when you get involved in people's personal lives. But I don't know, I kind of agreed with her. I don't know. I don't know. They say when it can harm ourselves or other people, and I think that's wisdom when it comes to amends. But yeah, I don't know. I think you have to compromise or you'll never have relationships, but you also can't compromise to the extent that you're out of alignment with the relationship you have with yourself and the God of your understanding. That's how I feel.
That's a great question, man. Made a lot of great points. I think y'all like this. This is the saying that I say: mistreating people and avoiding communication is not protecting your peace; it's avoiding accountability. Like that. I'm gonna ask you, Scooter, coming to you, big dog. How has compromise helped you in building and maintaining healthy relationships now that you're in recovery?
I think that the first time I was in recovery, I had this belief that people that had more clean time than I had a better idea of what was going on. And so I was like Spuds was talking about, like just taking responsibility for everything. So I wouldn't question advice and I would get advice from anybody, right? Or criticism. I accepted a lot of criticism that I probably shouldn't have accepted.
Well said.
And the quote that I go by today is that I won't accept criticism from somebody that I wouldn't accept advice from.
I got that one written down too. I like that.
I
Scotty.
remember that. I remember that.
I got that. I got that right in front of me, actually. Really dope.
It's really important.
That's true.
And then when I was coming back into recovery this last time, I realized that I do have to set some boundaries. I also realized that I don't know what the fuck's happening most of the time, like
I love it. Man works on his program right there, guys.
I mean, 80% of the time I'm just winging it, right? So so I realized that but that's true of a lot of people, right? Just because just because they're chairing a meeting doesn't know they know shit about anything.
Facts.
Or they do this and this in service to a wonderful person that I should take whatever advice they give blindly.
Just because they have sponsees doesn't mean they're a good sponsor.
That's true. It's true. Just because I have a sponsor doesn't make me a good sponsee either.
Facts. Big facts.
So that's where I think that learning that that I do have some fundamentals, right? And basing things off of those fundamentals, right? Like kind of like mathematical axioms, right? And like, in order for things to be the way they are in my life, there's a few things that I won't compromise on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an addict. I can't compromise on that, right? And I have higher power. I can't compromise on that. But then there's a lot of stuff that is more up for debate. So
Sure.
that's how I feel.
I
Great
like
answer,
Love that.
man. That's a great
I
answer.
like that, and that's also
T-
the open-mindedness still.
Yeah.
TC, you want to answer your own question?
No,
TC Jones?
I'm asking you, I'm asking you, Milan, right?
No, you answer your own now.
Okay. All right.
It's
Cool.
gone all
Hell
the
yeah.
way around.
I thought, all right, I'm a dummy. I'm
It's
retarded,
okay.
guys. I'm so sorry.
You're
I
you're
am
bringing it, man.
retarded.
He's
So
TC,
how,
man.
bro, TC Johnson Jones. What is it? How has compromise helped me build and helping maintain healthy relationships and recovery? Well, I understand today it's like more important than to be connected than to be right all the time. I thought I had to be right all the time, and even when I was wrong, I thought I was right. And so it's more about staying connected to my community and building my community. And so again, when I have a lot to say, if I can just shut up, a lot of times I can gain a lot in that situation. But that's a complete shift for me.
Yeah,
From active addiction. That's a complete. I mean, it's a complete shift. It's a commitment almost.
that's wild.
And how I interact with people. But people have a voice. I got to respect other people's viewpoints. Like I came from my own dark past. Like everybody has their own past that they came up and grew up in. Like everyone's dealing with their own shit. And as many times as I've been sitting in like social situations going like I'm so self-absorbed, right? Like I can't even concept or grasp the concept of like anybody else having any pain or
Sure.
like anybody else going through anything else other than like what I'm going through. Cause I'm just, whether I'm withdrawing or I'm just, whatever it is in my disease, man, my disease will grab a hold of me any way it can. But when I was in active addiction, man, I remember just like being completely shut off from the real world, even when I was slam in the middle of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's about showing up when it's not convenient too. If I can show up for my friends and loved ones today, even when it's not convenient, that's showing compromise.
It is.
Like without having to ask them, do I need to show up? Knowing that it's going to be a pain in the ass for me to get there, but just do it anyways.
Or that it's important to them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And on that basis alone, like
Yeah.
making worlds turn to make sure that they want you there, be there, just be there.
Yeah.
Just show up. There's a trust, like an emotional safety that I have with myself and other people that I've never had before, man. I've never been able to experience that before. Clean. You know what I mean? Like if I was loaded, I would have all the confidence in you in the world, but unless you're trying to take my drugs or do my drugs, then we have a problem. Right. It's just kind of crazy, man. But like in romantic relationships, you know, learning to listen without having to fix it all the time. And I don't have to fix what she's got going on all the time.
Nice.
I think I should, and then my brain goes like, well, doesn't she want to hear my side of it anyways, even though she doesn't have to take it? Well, that's not the way it should be, man. Like sometimes you just gotta just listen. Right. And there's sometimes when they need advice, and they'll ask you, but don't always throw it at them. Because I have a tendency to do that, man. I have a tendency to do
Men
that.
have a tendency to do
Then
that.
it's like, well, because I didn't do it the way you liked it, like it's wrong. Like, and then it just gets in a whole nother thing. Gets in a whole nother conversation at that point. And then it's like, well, who's got the bigger dick here? Who's got the bigger balls, right? It's like, and then I want to go back to like burning the house down. And that's where my natural reaction goes, like, well, I'm out. But I don't do that today, man. I don't do that today. I'll sit and I'll pause and I'll meet them where they're at. Because again, a lot of times it's like with the traditions, man. If we can kind of meet the group where they're at, a lot of times it works out long term. If we can kind
Well
of,
said.
I think that's where the traditions come in. That's why it's so important. You got these people that have been in this program for long time. You know, Scotty, I don't know if like you can relate to this, but like, you know, my sponsor, 35 years clean, he's doing like a really in-depth tradition study, like work stepping group, like step working group. Like it's wild. Like like there's all these sets of questions, like 400 some, like it's just wild. But it's really cool, man. It's something that I know, like this thing is never going to stop. You know, there's always things for me to do and grow upon. Because as soon as I have this thing figured out, man, I'm done. You know, we talk about that a lot. So
Yeah, they even say we know just a little. Like we're just getting started.
More will be revealed.
Sure.
Nice
Nice
one.
one. Okie dokie. So, PW, are you ready for a question?
Sure.
Compromise isn't about losing, it's about choosing peace over pride. Where in your life have you made peace by releasing the need to be right?
I wanted to be understood. They say that in the Francis, like to understand above being understood. Like I wanted to be understood
Yeah.
at the very least, because I thought then people would actually respect me more because they would understand why I felt. And I thought I was coming from a place of like well thought out, you know, important kind of ways of seeing things. But meanwhile, it's like, guess what? It's like, that's probably not going to happen.
surprise.
Yeah. Boo. This ain't happening. So I don't know. I think being right, I'm more likely now if it's like something where, like, if I'm building a fence with someone and they're like, oh, we should put this here. And I'm like, we're putting it here. Like, I've done this before. Like, that's where this goes. I'm going to speak up. Whereas before I may have been like, okay, we'll do it your way. But
Let's build a crappy fence.
yeah, but like now when it comes to like opinion things, world things, American things, gender things, like I'm just like, whatever you believe, there's no way I'm going to try to take that from you. Like, I don't want to be right. I don't want to be understood in those types of situations. Like, I think the odd time I'll engage in like in a healthy way where there's sort of like some neutrality, but like I'm not talking about world events and trying to be right. They're just too many variables for anyone to think that they're right. You know what I mean? So I've learned when to like stay out of pushing what I think is right. Or it was TC. He mentioned um, the more you learn, like the more you realize you don't know things. I've even heard people like Noam Chomsky say that, and like older people in meetings, they're like, I think what you do is you just begin to let life be the way it is. The more and more and more you do that, the more that you seem to find peace rather than that idea of being right. So I think, yeah, if I was to just kind of tie that together, I'm more likely to, when I genuinely think I know that this is how something can or should be done, like I will probably speak up. Especially when it comes to sobriety. Like I'm not gonna let someone convince me that their case is special. I'm just like, that's not happening. This is a very impersonal solution. That's why it works for so many people. Somebody told me something like 46,000 people are going to be meeting in Vancouver for an AA convention.
That's
I'm going.
crazy.
I'm going.
He's going. Yep.
I'm going. I'm leaving. I'm leaving in 2 days to go.
That's pretty
I'll be
amazing.
one of the ants there on the ant hill.
Oh, I'm gonna be like, oh, here we go. Serenity prayer in the key of me.
But like that's pretty cool. And I talked to my sponsor last night. He successfully brought AA to Rwanda in Africa. Like he got the book translated and has started meetings in Africa because he was part of the Peace Corps, the Canadian military after the genocide. And it was so impactful that that place became like etched into his heart. And he has made several trips back and he noticed how alcoholism was like a major problem there and that they didn't have this system in place. And I don't know for sure, but I think it might transcend continental and language barriers. Like, I think this solution is a spiritual solution that is a human thing. It's not personal. And so, like, I don't want to be right. I just want to be useful.
Ooh.
Dusty, you
Nice.
just came in here spreading some sponsor swag.
I didn't mean to.
Noted.
Come on, man. I'm just kidding. I love you, bro.
But you
That was
should
a
hear
great
him
answer.
talk about it. Like, he's like, I've done my part. And I'm like, God bless you, man. Like, that's great.
He like
Done
feels
my
uncomfortable telling you all that cool ass shit that he's done. It's like, man, that's humility right there, man. It's crazy.
But it
Von
was, you know,
Scooterson, are
Yeah.
you ready?
Yeah.
Compromising is not about losing, it's about choosing peace over pride. Where in your life have you made peace by releasing the need to be right?
Okay, so I have two answers to that question. Before I go though, or before I start, I just want to say I have a friend that went to AA World when I was in Toronto,
yeah.
and there was like 30,000 some addicts or alcoholics uh, in a sky dome singing the Serenity Prayer at the same time.
Yeah.
I can't
Could you
wait.
imagine? Could you imagine? Oh,
Well, like, honestly, that's part of what I'm looking forward to, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's two areas of my life that I think about with that question. The first is service work, and especially at um, the higher levels where I, I don't want I don't want to paint a bad picture of service, but like the like at the area level, and I don't we work similar to AA, but I only do NA, so this is what it's coming from. But the people that become GSRs that go to area tend to be some of the more opinionated members of the home group. So when you come into area, there's some ego and some opinions floating around. And
Sure.
it's really easy to take shit personally. And I've learned in recovery that I shouldn't take myself that serious, right?
Well said.
Beautiful.
Because I mean, uh, everybody's dealing with their own bullshit. But I know that when it comes to things, because I'm area chair right now, so it's and that's a bit of a learning curve when it comes to. We also use group based or consensus based decision making, not Robert's rules. So sometimes egos can get a little jacked up.
No
But
question.
the other place I think of it is in my marriage, right? Like even when it comes to something as simple as cooking, right? My wife and I have very different cooking styles. And when we try to cook together, we often disagree on, what spices, how much, or we should cook it this way or that way or whatever. And what I've learned is when you're dealing with that, or when I'm dealing with that it makes sense to have one person be the lead and rotate that lead, right? So I have to be able to say, okay, my way is my way because that's how I was taught. And her way is her way because that's how she was taught. We got to meet in the middle. So
Love that.
Beautiful. I have a follow-up question for you, Scooter. How fast do you ride on your scooter?
Von
I'm just kidding.
Scooterson's Turson speed.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Light speed, man.
TC,
Light speed.
TC,
Yes.
compromising is not about losing. It's about choosing peace over pride. Where in your life have you made peace by releasing the need to be right?
Well, in my relationships, you hit on service, Scotty. That's a great point. That for sure. I've really had to work on myself in that part of it. But in my relationship with my girl now, you know, it's not, it's not about being right all the time. It's about being real, and then the more real I can be, it fosters more realness from her. I find myself, if I start backing up on being real and completely out there 100%, and it's not about I'm not being dishonest or anything like that, but just, being out there, not lying by omission, but just maybe not telling her everything because I'm just exhausted or whatever. But if I'm being completely real, she feels that from me. And then I feel another level of realness from her too, every time, usually. So we just kind of play off each other in that part of it. So the more open and real that I can be, the more open and real she can be. And it just works off of each other. But, freedom, right? I have a choice today. And so it's about, peace. I say this a lot, man. If it costs me my peace, it's way too expensive for me.
Yeah.
Like peace. I don't know what
Oh
peace
yeah.
is. Addict, man. I am addicted to chaos. I'm so comfortable in chaos. I don't know what peace is as an addict coming in here. And so it's like an unfamiliar peace that I have to grab onto now. And so when other people are peaceful, even though if I'm ratcheted up, I just have to really try to channel their emotions and their thoughts and try to bring that on myself. Because fear sucks, man. Fear's not going to stop anything. Fear doesn't stop death. It stops life, man. Fear stops you from living. Fear's not going to stop death from hitting your doorstep one day. And we never know, time's that currency we spend all day, man. We just flash that time card out there. We never know what the balance is. We don't know if we got a black card of time or if we got that $1,000 balance card. We don't know what the balance is, man. You can't be walking around here like you're P. Diddy flashing that time card around like it's unlimited. It don't work. We don't have all that baby oil, jank. Anyways, I'm sorry, I was getting off track. Y'all know y'all know. Hashtag no Diddy. Anyways, I used to fight to the death over every disagreement, man. I used to fight to the death, man, like I was a gladiator. And it's not about that anymore, man. It's about compromising to grow spiritually today. Especially with my romantic relationship and with my girl, man. If I want to live with this girl the rest of my life and die with this person, you better believe I got to compromise a little bit, bro. If it's going to be all about me, man, it's not about control. It's not about control, man. It's the moment I start thinking about control of a situation, I'm out of control. The moment I start thinking about controlling that situation, I'm out of control. Think about that. I had somebody tell me that a long time ago. So that it's that very moment that I think about that shit that I need to back up, maybe pray, call my sponsor, call somebody, get in a meeting, but service work keeps me on my toes. I'm glad you said something about that, Scotty, because that's where I think I really learned it without even knowing I was learning it. When I threw myself into service at that 30, 60 days, and I'm like, fuck, and I got all these things hitting me, or business meetings, and you sign up for a commitment, and then maybe you can't get to the commitment, but then that person can't cover you, even though they said they could. There's a lot of things going on that can happen where you just gotta learn how to compromise quick, or you're just gonna have to drop that commitment. Because people are all people, man. We're all flawed, man. We all put our pants on, and sometimes we have puddle pants in our pants, but we, not all of us. We're all different. We all put our pants on the same way. So that's a great question, man. And I don't even know who asked me, but
I did.
Thank you.
I loved that. I've loved everybody's answer so far today. So where in my life? Oh, and I wanted to say something after what you just said there, TC. Anybody who says relationships aren't work is single.
Oh,
Bottom line.
so much work, man. So much work.
100%, man. And it's okay. I mean, you're literally trying to compromise your space for the rest of your life with someone. That's literally what it is in essence. And somebody anybody who says relationships aren't work, man, I guarantee that the other side of that relationship is wishing that person was
AI.
working.
Is AI.
Okay, where in my life have I made peace by releasing the need to be right? I think for myself, my greatest source of peace this year has been from the great resurrendering of March 2025. And I'd kind of plateaued because I was working on my defects and shortcomings instead of surrendering them. And when I just see that word peace in that question, it's like I think of how I'm feeling as the surrender is growing inside my days. And that feeling is just, it is like peace and joy. It is peace and joy for me in that feeling, and I'm feeling really lucky to have had that turning point. And so like it wasn't about that I had my program right. I like I am so happy I had it wrong, but met the right person to help me course correct. And that's some of the magic that I'm finding. Like being really active in my program means I'm constantly meeting people that inspire me. And that constant inspiration helps me correct my course on a daily basis. And so it's not about thinking that I have even right now the right program for me. Today I have the right program for right now because it's all I got. Like my program might not be Mr. Right, but my program's Mr. Right now. And I'm okay with that because the one thing I'm learning is that I am still getting guided to greater peace and serenity through doing the work that I can see that I need to do right now. And man, I never appreciated peace. I never appreciated peace in my addiction. I wanted the extreme, I wanted the chaos, and peace to me felt like too quiet because I never wanted to sit with myself inside that.
That's right.
So
Yeah, man.
it was a horrible place to sit for somebody who hates himself.
I
Hell
get
yeah.
that.
Yeah. And so now I think PW, do you have another question for Scooter?
Yes.
Yes.
Spud bag Dusty. Yeah.
I can't believe you called yourself a Dusty Spudman.
Bro, that's so dope.
Like I was just like, man, I was like, ooh, nickname waiting to happen.
DSB for short. Dusty Spud bag. DSB.
I just thought this might be fun. Is there a time that you can reflect upon where you deep down know that you could have compromised more and that you can see how you would have gotten a better outcome? If you're willing to share like a situation maybe.
Wow, that's kind of a tough one.
Yeah, it's a terrible
Yeah.
question.
I know.
It's an awesome question.
You don't have
Yeah,
to
it's
do
aw-
like
I meant
it doesn't have
awesome,
to be
though.
like it doesn't have to be like a big dusty one. It can just be
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Get out the
Needs
wind
to be
machine.
Walendified for sure.
They don't know what a Walenda is.
I have no idea. I'm just going with it.
Nobody should know.
Oh, okay. I was about to do a big reveal.
Go ahead. Other than the fact that it's my name, that's the only concern I have.
A Walenda is when you cup a fart and throw it in someone's face.
Oh, damn.
It's a magic trick.
What about
Look,
a
nothing
layered
in my
Dusty
hands.
Walenda? That's funny. That's funny.
Okay.
Could you repeat the question? I'm not.
He's thinking about a Walenda right now. I'm picturing one too. Like, how would that work?
Just picture the three of us. We're all Franciscan monks in Edmonton and share a secret.
Thinking of
Okay.
compromising.
Can you reflect upon a time where you know that you would have had a more positive outcome if you had been able to compromise more? Or if you had compromised?
I think so. I think it yeah. So okay. So when you guys have both heard me talk, all three of you guys have heard me talk quite a bit about how I was in recovery the first time and then the second time.
Yeah.
So So I had like 2 stints, and now I'm on my second stint. So I think
Mm,
that when I should have compromised more with my sponsor and with the people around me
mhm.
before I had my big relapse. Right. I think that um, there were warning signs in my own behavior that
Yeah.
I didn't acknowledge, and that other people were telling me in their own way that what was up, and I wasn't willing to look at myself objectively and say
Okay.
I'm on a dangerous road. So I don't think I was compromising enough in my personal viewpoint of self, and I don't think I was compromising enough with the people around me to really take what they were saying seriously.
Okay. Nice.
So like that.
That's a great example.
Oh yeah.
Do I go Mangulis or TC?
TC.
Hee hee.
Do you, my friend, have a time that you could reflect upon where you think you could have compromised and would have had a much healthier outcome?
Yeah, a couple of them come to my mind. Like, thank you for the question there, P Dub. Um, there was one at like just overall, and I'm starting to tackle this one at work. Like I've been at my workplace since I got clean, like for about 3 years now. I work in the doctor's
Nice.
office. The doctor of my office owns like the optical side and all that, so he's the owner. He signs my paychecks, but his wife, who's essentially underneath him, but runs the operations, but can't hardly
Yeah.
speak a lick of English. Um, we don't get along. I'll just say, let me
Okay.
just say that. I'll say that really lightly on that. I don't think I've talked about her with y'all on this podcast before. Let's just say, like, she
Okay.
sees red, I see blue.
Yeah.
She wants to rather be miserable and cry, and I'd rather laugh and be happy. Like, we're just completely opposite people. And
Yeah.
even down to like she's from China and I'm from America, and then down to the bare minimums of like how she writes her letters and their stories, and they turn into other like we just don't connect at all. And she's disrespected me before, like, and she's actually lied. I'm like straight up like said that I've said certain things, maybe because someone said it to her. I'm not really sure or whatever, but to like get her point across. But like
Hmm.
overall, I always knew I was doing the right thing at work. Like, and everybody around me, all my coworkers knew, but they're like, but we had to step really lightly because she sleeps with the doctor, right? She like essentially signs our paycheck. She ain't
Yeah.
going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere. And it was this monumental hump of like I wanted to leave a bunch. Like I was getting ready to tell her to go F herself. I was ready. And I've kind of I trained myself over the long haul and where I really go back to it is like if I go somewhere else, I'm gonna be dealing with something somewhere else. Like if not more than one thing. Like if I can take every problem that you can have at a workplace and I single it down to just her, like she's my one speed bump. And so I just had to learn to like give into that relationship with her. Like when she looks at me sideways and tells me to do something, even though I'm like doing something, or she asks me if I'm busy, even though she's looking right at me and sees that I'm busy with 3 people, like, yes, I'm busy. Like, you see, I'm busy. Like, why are you going to act like just for the power? Like, she does that kind of shit. She's like, are you busy? And I'll be like, no, even though she can clearly see that I'm like got 3 people like patients in front of me. It's wild. So I've learned to back off of that because she reads into eye contact big. I've noticed too, like I won't even say anything and I could look at her away and it's like I told her to go fuck herself and that she's eat shit and die. Like, and she'll treat me like that the rest of the day. I've
Oh
even
my
done
God.
some research into like Chinese culture and like how they grew up like as a like if they're not perfect when they're growing up as a Chinese woman, just in general, I've seen that they get put down a lot, right? Like they're just not meant
Yeah.
to may feel like they're worthy of anything if they're not like perfect, like they have to be perfect every way. Anyways, I could be completely wrong. It's what I've read. I've learned it. Bro, I've hopped over that hump. Like her and I are best friends right now.
Oh, that's
It,
amazing.
And just because I smile more at her, right? I smile instead of like combat her like nasty face with my nasty face and think that they're gonna like be happy together. Like it don't work. Like so, I just combat her. Like I go fire with water, man. I go fire with water, and I surprise her. And then there were things that she wanted me to do like extra, but she wasn't paying. They weren't paying me. Like I felt like they weren't paying me enough, and I just started doing them. And within a fucking like a month, they gave me $1 raise. She sat me down. She, like I was getting ready to leave in like 3 months ago, and then it was like they sat me down, and they were like, "We wanted to give you $1 raise." I'm starting to like do my own like repairs for these glasses and stuff. I've got like my own like I started bringing a whole revenue stream for these people, man. Like I'm gonna be paying for their daughter to go to college if I keep doing what I'm doing. Like, and they're noticing that shit. And now you know where my shit goes to, Milan. I gotta move. Now that I got all my shit straight, man, what am I, 41 years old, and I've finally found a place that I don't work hard at. B, that I could do that shit blindfolded, backwards, with my hands tied behind my back. And I love the people that work with everybody. And I finally got over that one hump that everybody, you know, you always have that one hump. Like I literally enjoy going to work. And now
that's great.
I gotta try to move, and I gotta try to uproot this whole thing, which is something I gotta come to terms. That's the next thing I gotta get over.
Isn't that moving compromising?
I mean, it's the biggest compromise I'm ever gonna make in my life, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for bringing that up.
Don Walenda, could you repeat the question for me, please?
What is it when somebody farts under the covers with somebody under there? It's called
a Dutch oven.
Dutch oven. That's somebody's name. Dutch oven Linda. That could be like the two-parter. Like I blew one and I closed you in.
I'm going to set a boundary. I will not let Dutch oven be part. Dutch oven will not be in my.
You would be really good though with first name Dutch, last name.
What about
oven.
the oven of Duchess?
I'll allow that, but only if it also has.
Oven of Duchess. Yeah.
Old sponge bag. The Dutch oven mash over there.
Sponge. You say sponge bag?
Okay, give me a question.
I'm excited for
the dusty oven of Duchess.
You know what the best part about all this is? This all began with a single word: ice.
Ice
no,
baby.
Ice Storm. Ice Storm.
Oh, it was Ice Storm. I thought
Iceman. It was Iceman.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Iceman, Randy Savage, Dusty Walendis.
But look how far
here's the question. Sorry?
He said, look how far we've come.
It really is amazing.
We're ever evolving.
I love you guys.
I'm ready.
I think I have like a 2-second delay, and it's getting a little interesting. Okay, if you could reflect upon a time when you could have or should have compromised more or in general, and you know that you could have had a healthier outcome, would you like to share that?
Well, I think it was just pointed out to me on this episode for the fact that you met your sponsor in Starbucks and Von Buder used a clergyman. Like you guys are two guys whose recovery I admire, and I literally did the opposite. Given the same choice, I didn't do it. You know, like, and so now I'm like, what would my life be like if I stayed in Starbucks and I went to a priest? Like, I feel like I might have robbed myself of my greatest gifts.
Hey, that's your disease talking, bro. That's your disease talking right there.
That's
funny. That's funny. But man, I should go back out so I can go back to Starbucks and do that shit over again and do it right.
We're not going that far.
I know.
But you know, but honestly, it's like it's been on my mind since both of you revealing that you had the opposite experience.
The priest is waiting.
Like I think that maybe I was just too quick to judge the situation because of my uncomfortability, and you know that growth is uncomfortable, and sometimes you know it hurts to rip the scar off the heart as much as put it on it.
Yeah.
Big facts.
I think though, like we said earlier, like the wisdom behind the willingness, it's you were still willing, you just had to make some adjustments. I mean, some people won't even do a step 4, so there it is.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, that was definitely something. You know, like being a father, a son, and a husband, all you know, on my property, like all those dynamics. Man, there's something every day that I wish I compromised better on. When you see
Same.
the disappointment in someone's face for some stupid position you took because of previous like because I've done that before, like just because of repetition. You know what I mean? Like there's stuff with relationships that I think all the time we just say things or do things because that's what we've got comfortable doing, and sometimes that unconsciousness really is a lack of compromise. It's just finding our own little comfortable zone, and
You're right.
and I find that, you know, like that's a daily thing where I'm like, shit, you know, I'm forever having an amends, like with somebody I love all day long.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
I think that's my response. And what about you, Spuds Bag?
Oh. Mm, something that.
That's a tough one, eh?
How do you
Like that.
clean
Okay,
dusty spuds? How do you clean dusty
here's a
spuds?
good one. It took a long time, and like I actually got a fairly negative result prior to actually being able to like come back and do an amend and or renegotiate. I had done some music with someone last year, and I was sort of protective of my creative side of it, where the collaboration, it wasn't that I wanted the credit. It was more like I wanted the freedom to be able to like keep creating what I had started, even if we had collaborated on it. Like if I chose to maybe want to do it a different way, because it was meaningful to me. But anyway, I like made a statement or a comment based on when we got to the uh, crossroads of like whether we should put the music out. There was all this who's taking credit for what, and like that already makes me uncomfortable. But I sort of was like, I'm not compromising on this because I felt like I had done that with other people, and I wish I had spoken up. I realized in hindsight that I really should have said that really clearly at the beginning. I was still sort of being like, no, that's okay, or like, oh, that sounds great, or like, yeah, you can do that. And then at the end, when it came to like having invested in it, this person was like, dude, I've invested a lot into this, and now you're sort of saying this or that. Looking back on it, I think it was mostly a misunderstanding, but I really do wish I had been a little more compromising in that dynamic. And I can see where I could have made adjustments to my commitment to things throughout the process. I just didn't have the courage to say it because I didn't want to lose the opportunity to like do this. But I thought the other person wouldn't want to do it at all if I was like more kind of like blunt about. Anyway, that's a great example where I was like, oh shit, like I have really upset this person and I didn't mean to at all. And I wish I had been more compromising in that process, or less compromising when it mattered more earlier and then more so at the end.
Communication is key, eh?
Yeah, it was really kind of close. I had to like really get in there and be like, this is what I meant. I definitely don't want friendship to be like affected by something like making music. You know what I mean?
I've dealt with a lot of that over the last couple of years, collaborating with so many different people, and with the way that some people are just like, no, it's like, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like, everybody gets credit, and I don't care. You know, like
Yeah, people get interested about it.
people are weird about money. Okay, so we're down to like 17 minutes for me. So what I was thinking is I'll put 3 minutes on the clock, and if Scooter's got another
20
question,
minutes.
well, I'm
I'm just
down.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. It's what you do to me every time.
okay. So then we're
Go ahead.
down to 13 minutes. We're down to 13 minutes. I'll compromise. I'll renegotiate
Silly.
my
You so
initial
silly.
position.
You so silly.
Okay, Scooter, you got a question to
Lightning?
ask TC?
Actually, I
Lightning
don't.
bolt.
I'm all
Okay,
out of questions.
TC, you got a
I love you
question?
so much, Scotty. Bro, I love you so much.
Yeah,
Bro.
it's
I
just
just
a
love you.
beauty.
TC, you
He's
got a
like, nah,
question?
I ain't got nothing, man. What y'all got? Boom. Oh, I got. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't even know my name. I don't even know my name. I have no idea what my
It's
name is.
perfect though. It's like TC. Yeah.
All right. So what? How do I balance standing up for myself while still being willing to compromise?
Ooh, baby.
Well, okay. One of the things for me now inside my program is for sure about it making me conflict with my spiritual principles on my, what I'm trying to do, right? Like I balance that by definitely starting from a position of this. And if you're asking me to cross lines in that way, then that's kind of where for sure I'm not going to compromise. You know, what I find myself doing on quite a regular basis now actually is like I'll stop and if I feel like there's a conflict about compromise, even if it's not a conflict to the other person, even if it's just already just here in my head about I'll be like, is this just an expectation? And then now kind of looking, really seeing where I can surrender and not surrender is I'm like, am I surrendering this? Like, am I actually surrendering the situation or am I still trying to control this? And I find, I think we were talking about this yesterday, TC, where it was like something came up for me on Thursday afternoon. And I literally had to stop and say, like, either I'm going to keep acting this way forever, or I'm going to eventually take the step to try to surrender here.
Hmm.
And the difference of that was, it was life changing. It instantly felt easier to do the right thing. And I think I'll leave that there.
Beautiful, beautiful. Are you
Mhm.
ready, P-Dub? Right.
Yep.
How do you balance standing up for yourself while still being willing to compromise?
Yeah, I would say if it's coming from a conviction, I like that word. That's what I use now to describe like things that I know to be true that I can't let other people take from me. Like they're jewels that have come through pain and hardship that I can't let other people, depending on their motives, like convince me otherwise. So if I'm like in a state of conviction where I think it's worth standing my ground for, I will just do that and I will accept the consequence or whatever the outcome will be. Then there's a lot of other things where I do a quick little survey and I'm like, this is not worth me pushing back on. Like, what sandwiches should we make? What time should we leave? I go to meet my sponsee and they're like, how about 11? And I'm like, let's make it 11:10. Just so like I feel like I called the shots. Like I don't need that. And people do that shit all the time,
Big time. See it
like
all the time.
minor adjustments just so that it's like kind of what suits them or whatever that might look like.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, if I think that it's been given to me through like um uncompromising life circumstances where I think like the integrity of like the world I'd like to live on is kind of like determined by that, I will try my best to live. I'll try to find the courage to hold my ground or change the things I can. But otherwise, yeah, it's always looking for the wisdom to know the difference because there's a lot of times, man, where I've been like thoroughly convinced that I'm like, nope, I am not compromising. And after I'm like, that really wasn't worth it. Like, like I've had those where once the tension's gone, I'm like, ugh, like
Sleep on
I
it.
kind of wish, yeah, I kind of wish I had just like not really gotten in like caught in that web. But yeah, that's what I would say for that question.
That's dope. That's
Love
dope.
that.
Great answer. Are you ready, Scooter Von Scooter Turson?
I am.
It is the question is, how do you balance standing up for yourself while still being willing to compromise today?
Because I like what Dusty Old Spuds was talking about with there's some
He is
foundation
Dusty. Ooh-wee.
the like there's some things that I just can't compromise on, right? Because that's true. Uh, but it's recognizing that um and having humility that uh I've got to be open-minded and flexible enough with different ideas to accept that they may or may not be right, and that mine on the subject may or may not be wrong. Um,
Mm.
and honestly, what comes to mind, this is an example where I compromised too much and kind of got a bit screwed over. So my wife and I were looking to buy a car, and I had a friend in the program, or I thought he was a friend, who worked at a car dealership. So we went
Oh
through
yeah.
him to get the car, and he treated us like shit. Like there was
Whoa.
he was friendly and he had a smile on his face and he was
Snakes.
pretending, he was pretending to be our friend. But he treated us like any other customer that he made a deal with, and we're not friends anymore. And it was the first time I ever bought a car new, and there's so many things I would do differently next time.
No
But
doubt.
he kind of exploited that from us. So that's
Yeah.
where I think that sometimes we have to be a bit more guarded with something. I have to remember though that um, just because I thought of it doesn't make it a good idea.
No question.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's dope. Are
TC?
you me to
Great
ask you,
example.
No,
Don?
TC, you ask you.
I'm so dumb. How do I balance standing up for myself while still being willing to compromise? First thing that came to my mind was like, I gotta know the difference between like being assertive and being aggressive.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
there's a way to be assertive and still be like conducive to recovery and to a like a good atmosphere. I mean, good back and forth. So it's about me knowing the difference, or at least knowing where I'm coming from when I on my part of it. And what recovery has taught me is like and really through where is it, like step 6 and 9 is where like real strength is rooted from like that self-awareness, right? Like spiritual principles, not control. That's where I lose my control. That's where it helps me lose control of anything, right? Like I'm not in control of this thing, man. This thing is revolves around some kind of higher power, some kind of thing bigger than me. And so like that like bleeds down into my world, my earth relationships with other people, right? Like I have this bond with him, but then I have my interpersonal relationships with other people. I gotta like try to use that same, I don't know, the same grace that I have with him in myself,
Oh,
right? With other people.
that's
I gotta
wild.
try to channel that if I can. It's real hard, bro. Like it's real hard. But that's where it gets into like I pray for other people. I pray for my enemies, man. And I don't have any enemies per se, but I'm talking about the people that when I come into a room or like when I see them in person, I'm just like, fuck, I don't want to be here. Like I pray for those people. Like no shit. I pray for those people harder than I do my loved ones. And it's changed my life, man. It's changed my life when I think about it. Cause I pray religiously, not in religious form, but like religiously every morning, every night, me and my girl pray. And so I'm praying all in between, but in my morning and afternoon prayers, I mean, I name by name pray for those people that I really don't like. And it really softens my relationship with the world, man, with everything,
Yeah.
because I know going into it, like if I'm not liking something or if I don't like you or I don't like what I see in you, it's because I got it in me and something I got to work on myself. And you're helping me recover with that. And I can still love you. I might not like you, but I unconditionally love you. And that's my part in this thing is like I can still love that person. And that's an unconditionally loving act. One of the most unconditionally loving things you can do for yourself is pray for yourself. So flip that around. One of the most unconditionally loving acts you can do for somebody else without even having to talk to them is pray for them.
Mm-hmm.
It has
That's
changed my life, man. So, and unconditional love is about what's that step 12, man? Unconditional love. It's about service, man. We work all these steps to work on ourselves, to do all this self work, and then we turn it around on step 12 and we realize it had nothing to do with us, man. It got nothing to do with us. So that's it.
Love
well
that.
done.
Scooter, do you have a joke to take us out today?
Better.
I do. So I decided I'd try to get into acting and landed a role in this new movie called Cocaine. It's like an action blockbuster type thing. But I was pretty disappointed because it turns out I only get one line.
Tune in next episode for more recovery fun. Bye-bye, everybody. I love you. Please help us help others. If you like what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.